Man the rails.
Hey guys, thanks everybody for joining us. I would like to give an introduction. We're doing this cigar event for veterans and dealerships. Veterans, that's the most important thing. What we're doing for helping the vets, having them enjoy their time, free food, free cigars, and free drinks, all on the institute. So I want to introduce Thomas. He is a sponsor here at the cigar event. I want to introduce Don Brady. He's a great veteran, has served our country a big deal, and is always serving now everybody. And I also want to introduce Mr. Jeff Clark, which is a tremendous veteran. What he's done is crazy. So we're going to go over a few things like that. And one of the most important things is that we're setting this up for our American veterans to come on board and enjoy, as a lot of things are happening in the veteran world. So we want to make a happy time for them. And with what's going on in the country and all that stuff, we want to welcome them to the cigar event so they enjoy themselves. So tell me a little bit about you, Thomas. Tell me a little bit about what you do.
Well, I've been in the automobile business for about 37 years. Spent time I started selling cars, and then my path took me through the normal channels in the retail side. Then I spent some time at OEM with Ford Motor Company, and then I found myself up here in Valdosta, Georgia, and found a company called E-Lead, and again on the vendor side. And I've been probably I literally has probably been in 1,000 dealerships over the course of my career, and just enjoy the car business as a whole.
Great, thank you. And Don, tell me a little bit about what you're doing. I see you all over social media. I mean, everybody knows you on social media. Dom's got a goal. His goal is to meet everybody that he has on social media, regardless of what he's got to do. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I'm the vice president of dealer success for Ship Your Car Now, and I love what I'm doing every day. My background is a little different. In 1987, I joined the Army, and I was in the Army for 10 years. Served active duty. I spent some time in Iraq during the first Gulf War, so I'm one of those old veterans now. And I was very honored to serve. My grandfather served in World War II. My dad served and retired from the Army. And my brother is actually a 26 and a half year active Army vet, and is planning to go to retirement. So pretty proud of him. And lost my dad in February, so that was kind of a hard time for me. But we were all very honored to serve. Now, as the vice president of dealer success, and yeah, Richie mentioned my goal is to actually visit every car dealership in the United States of America. And I figured it's going to take about 26 years. So I'm only about a year and a half into it so far.
Don, man, thanks a lot for your service. I mean, you showed up in Fort Lauderdale without me knowing, knocked at my door. Hey, Richie, by the way, I'm here. What? I said, this guy is crazy. And I'm not on social media like that taking pictures. He actually pushed me to take a picture with him because I don't like pictures that much. I'm not that picture friendly guy. So I mean, it's crazy what he's done. He showed up at my doorstep and just like knock without me knowing anything. So thank you for that. And Mr. Clark, Mr. Jeff Clark, I mean, he's got a tremendous resume. He's one of the guys out there that I say, oh wow. So Jeff, tell me a little bit about what you've done in your service for this country, and also what you've done in business.
Yeah, well, again, thanks for having me, Richie. Don, great to be here with you, Thomas, as well. I'm one of those very blessed souls. I believe life is a combination of lady luck, hard work, determination, and most importantly, divine intervention from above. And I was one of those young souls that grew up under pretty humble circumstances, right? My family didn't have much. We kind of bounced around, and we didn't even have a home that was our own until I was almost 10 years old. So I think there was a fire and a passion in me. I didn't know that the military was in my path, but I found it. And I was blessed to spend 8 years in the United States Navy, 4 active, 4 reserve. I served like Don during Desert Shield and Desert Storm. Went on to serve as part of the Kurdish refugee relief. If you remember when the Kurds were driven out, we provided protection while that region of the world was stabilized, or I guess restabilized, if you will. It's interesting how that part of the world seems to go through, a lot of undulation. But it was a wonderful experience. Initially, I served aboard the USS Forrestal, one of the nation's first in defense aircraft carriers or super carriers of its day. Was part of the engineering team there and absolutely loved what I did. Naval firefighting was a big part of being active on ships, because you can't call the local fire department and have them come running. You got to figure out how to do it yourself. And then after that, I went on, attended the University of Missouri at St. Louis, went into reserve status. I finished my undergrad in communications, and really from there, the path just kind of took off. I was recruited by Coca-Cola out of school and spent a number of years in their sales and marketing department. And I have to tell you, what a wonderful experience to really learn what a brand as iconic as Coca-Cola and some other brands that you may think of, the things that you can learn as a part of that program. And I found myself immersed back in the car business in the early 2000s. And I attribute a lot of my training, a lot of what I learned in the military, a lot of the leadership skills and drive and desire for being able to navigate successfully through the vendor side of the business. I originally started out in the third party lead world. If you guys remember back in the days, and I'm going to tickle your brains here, but if you remember Stone Age media, we used to fax leads to dealers. Remember that?
Yeah.
Right?
Oh
Because
yeah.
nobody had email addresses. Hell, dealers didn't have websites.
I
So the
remember
only way I was going to get you Tom's information or Don or Richie's information was to put it in a fax machine and press send. But man, we sold cars that way. And having come from the streets, having worked hard to make my way through the ranks, I think every opportunity I had, I appreciated. Similar to going through your military ranks. In boot camp, you're an nobody, right? And then as you start to progress through your career, you're rewarded with more and more opportunity, more and more responsibility. And that was really such, a big part of my success. I was able to be a part of some really successful buy sells, which were tremendous. And now, fast forward, 23, soon to be 24 years later, I now serve as the president and one of the executive partners managing Social Dealer, the largest and oldest, most established social media company in the automotive vertical. So, again, I give a lot of praise to my family. I give a lot of praise to opportunity and lady luck, but most importantly, I give praise to the good Lord above for allowing me to make it through, wartime conflict and still be here, but more importantly, to grow a successful business and hopefully pay it forward to other veterans and other people I come in contact with.
And thank you, Jeff, for your service. Thank you for the service to the country, and thank you for the service in the automotive industry. Guys, so, I'm really pleased with our sponsors, as Thomas is a great sponsor. So is Don Brady. And by the way, so is cars.com. I couldn't get them. I couldn't get anybody from on them, but they're going to be there too, which is really, really a great event. I mean, what it is the veterans. The reason I'm bringing this veteran and this automotive sector together, because every time that I know a vet that's in the car business, it becomes very successful, right? So what I promote that whole thing with vets and automotive is because the automotive needs a good workforce. As one of the greatest workforce I've seen so far is the vets, because they follow direction and all that. And veterans need our help, and I've always been there for them. I mean, the Institute has been already 6 years in the making, and right now we feel that all this sponsorship that we have, all these donations that we have, we want to put it to work for our veterans, right? So this event is really going to be a really good event, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And the whole idea is for dealers to go and see the veterans, and hopefully right from there, they can start recruiting vets. So vets want to get into the car business, as it's a tremendous workforce. You put a vet, whether it's BDC, whether it's sales, whether it's service, they got that. They follow direction. They follow process. They're great for it. So what do you guys think about that?
Well, I'll start out by saying I think, in fact, I do post every once in a while about hire veterans. So I 100% agree. I think the transition, a lot of people don't realize how tough it can be for a veteran to transition from the military to civilian life. Um, but a lot of us, we need that regiment. We need, I've never managed a person in my life, but I manage a process. So if the dealerships out there have a good process, and they manage that process, the veterans are gonna fall into place, and they're gonna do what they need to do. And like you said, Richie, they're gonna be very successful at what they do. I didn't mention earlier, but I'm a former general manager, and I've got 22 years in the car business, and loved every second of it. And I had a lot of successful veterans come up through the ranks, and there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them right now that are running stores and that are general managers of stores, and that's from all the armed forces. I mean, Air Force, Navy, Marines, Army, Coast Guard. I mean, really any of them. So yeah, I challenge every dealership there to hire a veteran.
And Richie, I'll add to that something that's interesting that we kind of stumbled across, if you will. One of my top people is the spouse to an Air Force veteran, and they're currently living in Okinawa, Japan. And when the opportunity came about, it was a little, I don't want to say out of my comfort zone, but most organizations pre-pandemic were less open to remote workforces, right? They'd allow salespeople to be remote because they were in a territory. But when it came to support roles, most of those support roles were tethered to a physical office or to a physical location. Think back to our military days. What'd you do? Well, you had to report for duty, right? Well, where were you reporting for duty? Were you on the flight deck? Were you in engineering? Were you, where were you? And because you physically needed to be there. So what's interesting is we hired our first military spouse, and since we have predominantly hired military spouses, because it's not a 9 to 5 job. I don't care what branch of service you're in, and anyone that tells you otherwise, they better not say anything, because someone's going to figure out they got really great duty, and that duty is going to go bye-bye. But we wanted to give an opportunity to the spouses because we know how much they give up and we know how much they sacrifice, right? I mean, this young lady's from the States, and now she's making her home in Okinawa, Japan, because she truly cares for her husband. So not only is she dedicated to her family, she's super dedicated to us as a company, and it gives us expanded hours. Where before I only had, traditional hours. I'm an East Coast based company, so I can only cover so much of the West Coast. Now I have, not one, but now 2 people, soon to be 3 people, spread out between Japan, Germany, and another duty station. So I basically have round the clock service. So not only has it allowed me to give a better level of service to our customers, right? But I feel like I'm still today supporting the military mission and cause, because listen, if you've been in the military for any length of time, you don't do it for the money, right? You do it for the sense of duty. And so not only would I echo Don's statement about the importance of hiring veterans and giving them an opportunity, I can tell you my transition personally was tough. Like, I couldn't understand civilians. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you people? Right? Because like, what do you mean that's not your job? Of course it's your job. It's everyone's job.
Everyone's job. Yeah.
Because we've been conditioned that, listen, you do it or you're all going to stay here and do it. So it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
In the civilian world, it's easy to get away with that. So for me, that was a really tough transition. And it was really tough for me to soften up a little bit, because I'd gotten used to handing out orders and delegating things to do. Times have changed. You got a little bit different of a culture. But to your point, Richie, I think, God bless you for what you're doing, for what your institute is doing.
Amen.
absolutely love our veterans, but more importantly, let's make sure that we don't lose sight of the spouses of the veterans and how much they dedicate and give up, and not just the spouse, but the families as a whole, right? Because whether it's mom or dad that's the stay at home, they're now raising the kids, they're fixing the car, they're going to the appointments with the teachers at school, they're doing all those other things. So not only are we as a company and as an industry big on supporting the veterans themselves, but we certainly have a special place in our heart to support their families and their spouses as well.
That's awesome.
I can
And
tell you. I can
and
tell you.
you
Let me give you. I'll give you a brief story. My brother-in-law, who's a Marine. You're never an ex-Marine or a former Marine. You're always a Marine.
Always a Marine.
And
Oh, I think we lost Thomas.
Oh boy,
did we lose him?
he went away.
I want to thank George Serious. He's part of the Morgan Group.
Mhm.
He runs a Honda, Fort Myers Honda. He's Cuban like myself. He's a good friend. He's a good supporter of me for a long time. George is a great guy. He was at Hollywood Honda. He's amazing. He's always helping out the
sorry about that.
veterans. He's always helping me out. So
Sorry
George,
about that.
thanks a lot for being there.
That was a dealer obviously calling and, hey, I need some help from the BDC. I said, okay. But I was telling you about my brother-in-law who's a Marine, and he did 30 years in, and he obviously a lot of times you have those conversations, and that you just want to talk to someone that's not connected, just to vent. And they when someone's in the military, like you said earlier, Jeff, it affects everyone in that family. Whether it's the spouse, the children. I'm a brother-in-law. Anyone that's connected with you and your family, there's that ripple effect. They spent some time in Hawaii and having that distance. Not being able to, them not being on the mainland. He spent a majority of his career in North Carolina, so it was only a hop and skip down the road for us to go up and see him, or visit the base, things like that. And as a manager at a dealership, if I saw someone was a veteran, you were able to instantly strike up conversation, number one. Number two, they had the work ethic already built in. You know what to expect. That I'm not going to get that phone call. I can't make it to work on time. I have to take a day off. There's no such thing. It's full out, bell to bell. When do you need me? What do I need to do? And they were always that person I could lean on, or ask to do that little bit of extra. And like I said, they never let you down. And they're the same mindset as me. I grew up with a strong work ethic, like you, Jeff. As a young man and a child, my father passed away when I was young, so I was always looking for direction, and got some of that from a couple of uncles, thank God. And they instilled that work ethic, at a young age. And you always appreciated when you met other people of like kind and like mind,
Mhm.
and especially veterans. And I mean, hey, hell, till this day, always looking to hire veterans.
Yeah, that's great, Thomas. I commend you guys again. I feel honored to be a part of this call and this podcast. And I encourage Richie, any of your listeners, if you're out there, um, look to speak to a veteran, look to speak to a veteran spouse, because Thomas makes a great point. They've grown up with the mentality no one left behind, and
Yeah.
whether that means in a physical sense or a metaphorical sense, they're going to get the job done. They're mission driven. They don't know anything. I remember I remember many a time in my career, I didn't sleep for 3, 4 days straight. We used to joke the Navy was the only branch of service that you could sleep standing up and keep your sea legs about you, right? You could be in 40-foot seas and you could sleep standing up and not hurt yourself or hurt anyone else. Um, and we all know the car business, how demanding it can be. Bell to bell, 6 and in some states 7 days a week. You're going at it, and work's not over when the doors are locked and there's no more customers in the showroom. You still have a lot to do, and it really is about finding those folks that will give that level of dedication and support. And a lot of things that don't get shared, it's interesting. People will ask me, and I think it's important to share this. Don't mistake the house, don't mistake the title, don't mistake the cars. I'm still a guy who likes blue jeans. I'm still a guy who listens to country music. I'm still a guy who's okay with a good old fashioned can of beer, right? It doesn't have to get complicated. But so many people associate the auto industry with being negative, right? It's kind of like a lawyer. Oh, you need a lawyer? Oh, well, man, hold on to your wallet. Well, there's some really great lawyers out there, just like there's some really great car dealers out there, and there's some wonderful ability. Nothing's more exciting than buying a new car or helping someone buy a new car, right? But who do you want to buy from? Me personally, I love to buy from veterans. I will go out of my way to shop with a veteran-owned business. I will go out of my way to shop with someone who is a veteran, because I feel in some small way I'm paying it forward to my brothers and sisters who are still in the fight, or who were there before me, or who will be there after me. So, Richie, I love you for doing this, man. The cigar event, the great people that you've put together here. I mean, folks, if you're listening, if you're in the retail automotive world, if you're having a hard time getting quality people, find your local VFW, right? Go down to your local American Legion and say, listen, we're hiring. I don't know anything about being a service writer. You know what? We'll teach you, right? Service writers today, especially good ones and a good point, can make well over 6 figures, and a lot of jobs out there today don't provide that kind of income for our veterans. So, bless you for
Mechanics.
doing
Oh
this,
my
man.
gosh. Is there a dealership out there that you haven't talked to that couldn't use a great mechanic?
Oh, are you kidding? You could take a pipeline of quality mechanics from every branch of the service, and not one of them would miss a day of income,
Never.
because
Never.
they not only would have signing bonuses, they would have tool allowances, they would have, I mean, I, instead of being a professional sports agent, I might just become a professional mechanic,
Recruiter.
technician recruiter, because the opportunities are endless. I can't tell you the number of dealerships that would kill right now for the right number of quality technicians.
Yes.
They just
Yeah, and
can't.
if you're a car dealership out there that needs help with transporting vehicles, I actually know a veteran that does that. I know
Oh,
that's my plug. Sorry, Richie.
That's all
That's
right.
you. That's good. I
Shameless
love
plug,
it.
shameless plugs are welcome on this program.
Okay.
So what I gotta say, right? I want to say something. Heroes, I put the email here, heroes at richiebellowest.com. In the state of Arizona, any veteran needs housing. Okay. Richie Bello Institute has a partner that houses them when they first come in and set them up. And we have a program in Arizona, and it's unlimited. It could be 50 veterans, it could be 1,000 veterans, it can be as many veterans as emails me. They have a place to stay, they have everything taken care of. We've put this together in the last year and a half. In the state of Arizona, which is where the institute is, we have them covered. We're looking to expand the program, and we're getting funded for this. We're looking to expand the program nationally, okay? Nationally, and that's why we're buying some. My partners are buying some homes and some real estate, because we're making it all into veterans, right? And it is self-funded. It is not funded by the government, as those guys that know me know I don't really believe too much in the government, what they do for veterans, but this institute with their partners, nonprofits, any vet that lands and doesn't have a place to stay, do not be homeless. Email this email, boom, call me directly at 631 578 9018, and you got no problems. You're covered in the state of Arizona for now.
Wow, that's awesome.
Fantastic. And it doesn't matter what state you're in, move to Arizona, get a hold of Richie.
Yeah, right. So I have it right now in that state. We're working hard around the clock, trying to get that. I get involved a lot with veterans because that's the most important thing. That's why I try my best to earn, and that's why I go to dealerships and I try to do whatever it takes really to exist in my companies. But as the profits all go to the institute, basically, because that's my mission. That's really my only mission that I have. It's all about the vets because I know how hard it is communicating with vets so much. I've never been a veteran because I don't have the ability to. I couldn't join the forces because I suffer from epilepsy, right? So therefore, I always liked that, and I got a lot of friends that I grew up with that went into that world, and I've always communicated with that world. And to me, that world is one of the most important things in my life, the vets, because they're serving for us and then they come here and it's like you're programming something, then you can't deprogram them, and there's a problem with that, guys. So really that's where my whole heart is, because of what happens. They get programmed, then they come back to civilian life, and it's not that easy to deprogram something. It's really not. It's very hard because this is not.
Richie has a good heart. I mean, I've learned that over time now. He's got a great heart. So I'm thrilled to be a part of this. I'm thrilled to be a part of it.
Don, I would echo your sentiment, and Richie, you absolutely hit the nail on the head. I shared with a young man who happened to be a friend of my oldest son's. He very proudly came and told me that he joined the Navy and that he was off to A school and he was going to go and be part of the submarine force. So, of course, being a fleet guy and being a Stevie, I had to give him a hard time. I said, well, you bubbleheads, you guys get a little cozy down there, right? And he looked at me and, so I said, well, it's a little early for him. Let's let it go. So about a year and a half, 2 years later, he was on leave and he came in. I said, how you doing, bubblehead? And he laughed. He goes, I had no idea what you meant. But it is that brotherhood. It is that camaraderie. And, Thomas, you said something really great about your brother-in-law. You're never a former Marine. You're never a former sailor, right? You're never a former anything. That oath of enlistment or that commission does not expire. It never expires. So to carry that badge of honor and to carry that with you is incredible. I have the pleasure of living in Washington, D.C. and seeing the historical sites and seeing the museums is just, part of the pleasure of living here. But the one place that humbles me to the point where I can't speak is Arlington National Cemetery. And when I walk the grounds of that facility, I feel blessed to even be a veteran, right? I feel blessed to have even served alongside some of these great folks. So when you think about the sacrifice, when you think about this young woman or young man was willing to pay the ultimate sacrifice to serve their country and to better themselves, there is no greater honor. There is no greater honor. As far as I'm concerned, as a decorated veteran, there is no greater honor. And nothing gives me a moment of pause and joy than to see a veteran from World War II or see these honor flights when they come into the airports. And I stand there in awe. I remind myself I was on an aircraft carrier surrounded by a fleet of really badass people, right? So the chances of you getting to me were slim and none, right? They really were, if you think about it. Fleet of aircraft and missiles. I mean, the United States Navy is by far the baddest Navy in the world. So again, unless you're a competitive Navy, there's not a tremendous amount of imminent threat to us. But when I see the Korean veterans and I see the Vietnam veterans and I see the World War II veterans, every branch of service and every time in service has a reverence to another time period, right? And if I think back on World War I and I think back on World War II and I think about Vietnam, my father served during the Vietnam conflict, and things are very different. Like, I almost feel like my military service, although difficult, was a country club compared to what these guys went through. And to think that, that level of dedication and commitment to your fellow man is there. There is no prouder fraternity. There is no prouder alliance to be a part of than that of a United States veteran.
And you know what? I really want to thank everybody. And we'll see each other at the event. I know the event's going to be great. I'm going to take a moment of silence because I have a veteran that really helped Richie Bello Institute. His name was Paul Ferguson. He passed away. He was a captain at the Army, and he really, if he would see what's going on today, he passed away last year, COVID. He didn't die through COVID, but he died through a lot of different complications with his, he had a aneurysm in his brain. Well, at the beginning stages, that guy really, really was a kick-ass guy, a really badass. He was a expert at martial arts for the Army. He was like in special services. This guy was amazing. He really helped out Richie Bello. So I'm going to take us a moment of silence out of respect to him. And wherever he is, I know that he's with the angels. Thank you guys for all you've done, and we'll see each other at the event. God bless every single one of you, and I love you guys till death. Thank you, and enjoy the day.
Thanks. Nice talking to you guys.
Right back at
Thanks,
you.
brothers.
Thanks, John. Thanks.